obvious recognition of Jerusalem is really kind of the flashpoint. That's what has kicked all of this off. So we're going to see this over the next handful of months as this plays out. What is going to happen, I believe, is that Israel is going to say, hey, Iran is providing funding to Hamas. Iran is providing funding to the Lebanese Hezbollah, which is fighting in Syria. And so that means Iran is at war with us. This is all part of that effort to get into a war with Iran. That's who the globalists, the oil corporations, the bankers, Iran right now is at the top of the list. It's going to get ugly.
All right, so we're going to see a lot of claims coming out of Israel. They always like to make a fuss about woe is us, we are being attacked. Doesn't matter that we provoked it. Doesn't matter that we kept shoving the person and they finally got tired of getting bullied and took a swing back at us. We're the victims here. So, of course, Israel goes to the UN to ask the UN to condemn Iran's dangerous actions. Israel warns over Iran's presence in Syria after airstrikes. Excuse me, but if Syria, a sovereign nation with a president elected in democratic elections by the people, if that government in Syria invites Iran to be there, then who is Israel to come in and say, you cannot be there? That'd be like the United States telling Canada, hey, you've got troops from wherever, and we don't support that. And so you better get rid of your allies, or we're going to come in there and just attack whoever we want to in your country. And we don't care what you say about it. That's exactly what this is. Israel has no right to tell Syria what to do inside their own country. And given the fact that Israel is largely behind a lot of the attacks to overthrow the Syrian government, they really are, this is very obnoxious to tell Syria that they can't defend themselves. Tel Aviv Diary, this is out of Newsweek, February 11th. Is this the start of an Israeli-Iran war? From the New York Times, Tillerson's Mideast trip was already daunting. Then Israel and Iran collided, February 11th. From the Jerusalem Post, preparing for war in the north, Israel boosts air defenses. And this is from the 11th. It says some 20 Syrian air defense missiles were fired towards Israeli jets during missions over Syria. Times of Israel from the 11th. Israeli assessment. Next bout with Iran only a matter of time. IAF's large-scale reprisal raids, which destroyed much of Syria's air defenses, meant to deter Assad from future attacks on Israeli jets. Wait a second. Did Syria attack Israel? So how is it that Israeli jets go in and attack Syria's air defenses? Where's the justification in that? There is none. This is a grossly immoral and unjust act by Israel. PJ Media, February 11th. IDF, Israeli Defense Force official. Response to future Iranian aggression will be more forceful. Iranian aggression. Here's part of the article. It says, the clash began Saturday morning after Israel said it intercepted an Iranian drone that had infiltrated its airspace from Syria. Israel responded that day with airstrikes on Syrian military positions, and Syria shot down one of the Israeli warplanes, which crashed in Israeli territory. Israel then carried out more extensive airstrikes on Saturday deep inside Syria, targeting what its military said were Syrian and Iranian military positions. Folks, this is exactly what I said was going to happen. Exactly what I said was going to happen. Escalation on the northern front. Israel must prepare for war. February 12th. This is from the Jerusalem Post. Unless a big change occurs in the near future, it is almost inevitable that a military campaign will take place on Israel's northern border. Where is that? That is against Lebanon and Syria. Now, this downing of the Israeli jet and the downing of the Iranian drone comes after U.S. force or U.S.-backed proxies shot down a Turkish jet not long ago, and also Russia had a jet knocked down by Turkey. So we've got everybody in this small area shooting each other's planes down. You don't think this is going to turn into war? If you don't think that this is going to lead to something big, when you've got this many major powers and alliances all fighting each other, not even sure who's on whose side, this is going to be big. You can see on the cover of Drudge Report, preparing for war, Israel boosts air defenses, and then we've got this article about Vanessa Trump hospitalized after white powder was sent in a letter to Donald Trump Jr. Some people call folks like us conspiracy theorists. I'm personally not bothered by the title, even though I know that usually they're using it as an insult. The truth really is that some of us just pay more attention to criminal activities that happen kind of at a higher level than just the petty, street criminals. We pay attention to the facts of what's really going on. So it's not that this is all that complicated. It's not like some theory. You just have to look at human nature, at power structures, fill in the blanks, look at what people are doing, what corporations are doing, what their handlers are doing, and you can see the pattern and know what's coming up. And any of you who have ever worked for a large company, you know that there's a hierarchy of power. Our whole society is set up with a hierarchy of power. In our own families, there's a hierarchy. But let's just say you work for a typical large corporation. At the top, you've got the CEO, you've got the other officers like the CFO or Chief Financial Officer, you've got the various vice presidents of the different divisions, vice president of marketing and product development, whatever. Then you make your way down a little bit and you've got some department heads, you've got regional managers and so forth. Then you go down another level and you've got the individual supervisors or the team leaders. Under them, you usually have groups of employees, groups of, maybe 15 or so, depending on the business. Maybe a shift leader at McDonald's or something. Well, within that team, sometimes, depending on the company, you may have different employees who have little titles or responsibilities that make them feel important and useful. But the truth is, down on that bottom rung, despite the low-level employees constituting the vast majority of the workforce, this tier really doesn't have a whole lot of power in the corporation. That is, unless they strike. And then maybe they've got some power, but otherwise they don't have any power. Communism really exploited this concept. But, the corporate bosses, they're going to try and keep you calm. They're going to placate you. They're going to make you feel like your input is valuable. They may have a survey that goes out. Your input is very valuable. So once a year, we're going to have the employee survey and we'll respond to you. But it's not really true. And here in our society, it works much the same way. The power is at the top. We know that our federal level politicians really don't give a crap about what the voters think, except for when it's time to manipulate us with campaign ads and all the false promises to get us to vote for them. That's when they care, kind of like when it's employee survey time. But as soon as the survey's over or the election's over, they go back to not giving a crap about us. Who they care about are the people above them. You ask, really, when it comes down to it, any member of the House of Representatives, any member of the U.S. Senate, who is it that they are truly beholden to? Is it to their constituents, the people that put them in power? No. It's the people who finance their campaigns, right? We know this. Campaign financing is a huge way to manipulate the politicians. But it works essentially the same way in corporations, because at the top, it's not really even the CEO who has the power. Above that entire corporate, the corporate executive officers, you have a board of directors. And they're the ones that truly have the power, because they can dump the CEO in a heartbeat if they want to. These boards primarily have one responsibility, and that is to protect the investments of the shareholders, the people who truly own the corporation. The board of directors does not care about the quality of the product or service, not on its own. They don't care about the people who work for the company. What they care about is maximizing profits. And so you do have to balance things. If a good product will maximize profits, fine, we'll go for the good product. But if you can make just as much money with an inferior product, if you can cut corners, if you can give a product or service that costs less to produce or provide, all the better, because it increases profits to the shareholders, right? That's how it works. I'm not saying it's bad. It's capitalism. It does get out of hand to an extent when you get into crony capitalism, but we'll talk about that some other time. So if the shareholders are charged, if the board of directors are charged with ensuring the financial success of the investors, who do you think the board is going to be responsive to? Certainly not the employees, because they're not shareholders, or if they are, they have very little. So who is the board going to be responsible to? The shareholder who has 5 shares of company stock, or the shareholder who owns, I don't know, 5,000 or 500,000 shares of company stock? Those who make the largest financial investments in a company are going to be the ones who have the biggest indirect control over the corporation. That's just how it works. Works the same way with our politicians. Hey, that's great. You gave a candidate $5. Great. Now, for the guy who runs a super PAC and has just put together $1 million donation, who do you think that politician's going to listen to, you or him? Okay, companies the same way. If Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or George Soros calls up members of the board of directors or calls up the CEO of a corporation and they say, do this, they're going to listen. They're going to obey. That's how it works. Money is power. This same power hierarchy, though, if we talk about this, we're talking right now about the example of just a single corporation, but it exists on a broader level. If you bundle a lot of corporations together, for example, corporations who receive significant funding from, say, a particular central bank, who has the power here? Well, whoever is providing the money. Whoever is providing the financing. The corporations are not beholden to the people. They're beholden to the people who fund them. And within the halls of these various central banks walk very powerful individuals. Some are individuals like Bill Gates. Some come from families like the Rockefellers or Rothschilds, where they're dynasties who have been around for hundreds of years, some of them. Okay? They have significant influence over the lending policies of some of these banks. And because of that, they have a lot of influence over the activities of the multinational corporations that get funded by the banks. Okay, these men are the world's elite. When we talk about the elite, this is who we're talking about. These are some of the most powerful men in the world. They and their networks, they function at a level that is foreign to the common person. See, because while someone like me or you, we might have a goal to reach a certain profit level, certain income level so that we can buy a new car, a new home. We're setting goals to, hey, if I can just sell a certain number of widgets, I'll get this bonus and then we can go on that vacation or whatever. But these men, they're not after a little vacation. They're not trying to buy a new car. These are people saying, hey, I'm going to take control of this multinational corporation, or I am going to take control of a national government. George Soros loves to take control of governments, and he has quite a few of them, especially in Eastern Europe. These men seek literally to control the world. That's the goal. World domination. Is that strange a concept? I mean, if you're somebody who plays, I don't know, fantasy football or something, is your goal not to be the best you can be, the best in your league or whatever? If you're an online gamer and you play, isn't your goal to defeat all your enemies and be number one to the extent you can be? Why is it that we think that the men who are the wealthiest, most powerful men in the world have a different kind of human nature than us? They're the same. It's competition. It's the excitement, the thrill of conquest. They just happen to be functioning on a much higher playing level than us. And what they're seeking, their form of fantasy football, is taking control of national resources, or the natural resources of various nations. Resources of the world that produce vast financial profits. Things like oil, mineral resources. And to get control of these resources and put them, say, for example, like Genie Oil, trying to take control of the natural gas and the oil in the Golan Heights in Syria. To take control, you need puppets in government. You need puppets in corporations and in central banks. You need this network of people who collaborate together, who are willing to engage in the business of war. It's been said, war is a racket. War is a racket. It's about different conspirators coming together, pooling resources, using their influence to conduct war for profit. Because no nation is going to voluntarily hand over their oil or their mineral resources to your corporations. You have to take it from them. And these people are cutthroat. They will try and take it. This high-stakes chess game sometimes results in nothing more than hurt feelings, especially among people who are too weak to fight back. But then it can also result in regional wars, because again, these people are often manipulating governments to enact policies. Like, for example, Israel took the Golan Heights from Syria in 1967. They've controlled and occupied it ever since. It's not their land. And now you've got central bankers. You've got the board of directors of Genie Oil. 8 people. All of them they're all neoconservatives, all Zionists. I hate to call it a Jewish cabal, but that's basically what it is. You've got some non-Jewish people among the 8 people, like Dick Cheney, former Vice President of the United States. But you've also got Lord Jacob Rothschild, who's one of the 8 men. You've got former CIA Director Woolsey. I mean, these are very powerful people. And this is their corporation. Genie Oil is an Israeli corporation. And Benjamin Netanyahu is working out contracts for them to go take the natural resources there. It's going on in Sudan. It's going on in Somalia. The Jacob Rothschild, Nathan Rothschild, the things that they're doing there. See, the thing that I'm describing here, it's not conspiracy theory. These are all facts. It's just that the average person out there, when they hear, oh, there's this cabal of people and they're trying to take control of the world, yeah, it sounds crazy. Sure, it sounds crazy. But if you sit down with me and let me show you the facts, you can't refute it. You can't refute it. You'll go away no longer calling me a conspiracy theorist. You'll just go away and shut your mouth because you know you can't beat me in because I've got the facts on my side. You may not agree. You may not come away saying he's right about all this, but you're not going to call me a conspiracy theorist anymore because the facts are on my side.